you guys some tools today to help you decide your career path. So again, thanks for joining us. My name is Robin. I'm with SBCS and I'm Program Director for Workforce Development Programs. And we do provide work readiness skills to help your career pathway planning and just figure out what you want to do in life. Hi, Stephanie. Welcome. Thank you for having your camera on. And my co-host is Rachel, and she's with Second Chance. And oh, I'm sorry, let me say this real quick. So I have Alyssa and Brian, who are, well, Brian's name is Alyssa today. They are supporting SBCS in the workshops today. So they will be your entertainers and educators today. And so again, I want to introduce Rachel with Second Chance, and she'll introduce who she is and who her team members will be later on.
Yes, hi everyone. I just want to quickly introduce myself, Rachel DeLong, Program Manager for a Young Adult Workforce Program at Second Chance. And again, we're super happy to see you all today, and thank you all to having your cameras on. It's great to see your faces.
Absolutely good to see faces. And actually, that's kind of what we will be talking about during this first segment of our workshop is personal branding. And that does include your visual appearance as well, and how you show up and how you present yourself in the world. We will be covering personal branding, and we'll be talking about once you get a job, how to keep that job. So we have staff at SBCS and we have staff at Second Chance. So they're going to be providing that information for you today. Again, it's interactive. So please use the chat. Speak up if you want to say anything verbally. We are here for it. We're excited. And we're ready to give this great information. There will be raffles. Yay. I don't know if you guys know that, but we are giving raffles. We got some amazing stuff. We got some computers and some swag. So we're excited to be able to give that to you guys. And that stuff will be kind of given out randomly. Your name will be put in there. So I think there's an application to fill out, or at least give us your information so that we can throw your name in the raffle bag. So, I mean, laptops, that's amazing. So we all need those things. I could use some. I use my work all the time. Probably shouldn't, but I do. But it's exciting to have a laptop, because really everything that we're doing now is so virtual. So you need a device to be able to access that information. So we're excited to be able to offer those things to you guys today. So I guess we just want to go ahead and get started. Stop hearing me talk. And I'm going to pass the baton to Alyssa. And she's going to start off with, again, branding is our first topic. We want to talk about personal branding, how you show up in the world and how people perceive you and how you want to be perceived. You guys already made judgments about me, and hopefully sometime a little bit is good, but you've already made judgments about me, right? Because of how I'm presenting, how I'm talking. It's all important. It's all important how you present yourself. So we want to make sure that you guys understand what personal branding means and be able to use it to your advantage. Again, I said I was going to stop talking. So Alyssa, we want you to go ahead and start it off and tell us what personal branding is. What does it mean?
All right. Well, good morning, everybody. Thanks for coming on here at 10 o'clock in the morning. I am going to show you my screens just so I can go a little bit about our personal branding. This is if it opens up, though. There we go. Okay. So to kind of get yourself started, getting interactive here, I wanted you all to use your fingers and chat in the chat box an emoji on how you're feeling today. So send me an emoji. How are you feeling? Oops. How are you feeling today, this morning? I want to see those emojis. Awesome. I like that. I like the smiling one. There you go. I'm going to show you my emoji that I'm feeling right now. I'm a little nervous. Presentations get me nervous, but it's good nervous, it keeps me on my toes. All right. Ooh, I like that one, the mermaid. Awesome. Sleepy. Yeah, it's kind of early. I'm not a morning person myself, so. All right. Okay, well, I'm gonna get going. Thanks for who shared their emojis today. You see some good ones. Where I'm gonna start off is this one. Does anybody know this app? This specific app? Anybody use it? Can anybody guess which one it is? Oh, Yelp. There you go. People know what this is. Yeah, it's Yelp. The reason why I bring this one up is because this is a platform specifically used to rate businesses, right? To rate business, to see whether or not you want to go to a specific restaurant or to go to a specific business. We rely on other people's comments and other people's experiences, whether or not we're going to go to a specific business. With that said, I wanted to ask you all, do you think there's a specific platform or specific social media that is used to judge yourself or to judge you guys? So I wanted to show you this little image here. I liked it because everything's in the tip of your hands nowadays, right? All these social media apps, all these different platforms can just be grabbed on and just easily picked on with just your, the tip of your fingers and instantaneously, right? And nowadays people get judged on their profile. I want to ask you all, I'm sure you all are private little investigators when it comes to social media. When you start looking for someone or when you meet someone, what's the first thing you do? Do you go on social media and find someone, see their profile? Do you look at, what they're doing, right? You probably find out a lot of information when it comes to their social profile. And a lot of you probably have tips on how to find even more information, things that I probably don't even know how to use the app myself. There's certain apps that are still missing on here. I know TikTok is another one, right? That's a huge one right now. But before I move on, I wanted you to ask yourselves, if I were to look at your social media right now, how would it come off as? How does it look like? What would I know? What would I learn about your guys' social media just by me glancing at it? So that's where virtual branding comes in, right? I wanted you all to start thinking about what's on your social media, because nowadays people look at your social media. It's so easily to look you up on just a Google search. I'm not sure if anybody has Google searched themselves. Has anybody done that before? Where you just add your name on Google search and see what pops out? All right. So I'm gonna play this video. I'm gonna show you why it's important to...
Let's talk for a second about losing a job before the interview even happens. It is possible, and it's happening to people now who don't even realize it, and in many cases, all because of their social media.
So tonight, Jeff Paul explains what to look for in your own internet presence to help protect you at work.
It's where we share our memories, our photos, and sometimes our opinions. But when it comes to social media, some of us might be sharing too much.
We're not only looking at the types of comments that they're making, we're also looking for spelling, grammar. It's an online resume.
Job recruiter Jolene Risch says when a new applicant comes in, she starts with Google.
Who they are 24 hours a day is important to the company.
She then checks the obvious places: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Risch watches for unprofessional photos, curse words, racist or sexist comments, red flags she says companies want to know about before the candidates walk into the interview.
We're not fishing for bad content.
She's also checking how often they're posting on social media.
You see that someone posts, 3, 4, 5 times a day, you're wondering, well, shouldn't they be working?
But just the opposite is also a red flag.
If I can't find someone at all, I'm wondering, is this person who they really are?
Dallas-based Fortune 500 company Southwest Airlines hired close to 7,000 people last year, and recruiters use social media to find many of them.
Look at your social media from the lens of an employer and say, what would people think about that?
State Farm's new North Texas hub at Richardson saw 2,000 new hires in its first year and still has hundreds of empty desks to fill. The company says it uses Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to engage with potential hires before hiring events.
You should always be prepared and have a proactive approach to make sure you're keeping in mind that The job field is really competitive, and you want to make a positive first impression, whether that's in person or online.
Even if your social media footprint isn't so clean, it's not too late to spruce up your online profiles.
Hit delete. Delete is your friend.
UT Dallas social media professor Janet Johnson says what you share.
Oops, sorry. I'm not sure what happened there. Okay, well, I want to kind of just get the gist of it, but basically, I wanted to hear from your guys did anybody learn anything new? Just seeing the first glimpse of this clip. Anything new? I think when I first saw this was the fact that a lot of them use social media to look you up for employing for positions or job positions. And I thought that was interesting to me, especially, things that you may have deleted in the past. Sometimes people screenshot it. So you may even delete something and people may have screenshot it and it's still out there in the internet world, right? Someone still has it, someone can still share it. So here are some ways to, spruce up, like how they use that word, spruce up your profile, make it clean, right? You want to make sure you have an appropriate picture, some appropriate username, appropriate handler. For those of you who don't know what a handler is, I just learned this probably last week, but the handler is your @ name. So whatever your @ is and your username after your @ is your handler. So that is definitely something that you also want to consider. You want to be mindful what you share online, your stories, your posts, your videos, your direct messages, even, because again, you don't know what other people may be, sharing out there. You may be sending a direct message to someone, but they could easily screenshot it and send it to the world or send it to someone, that shouldn't be looking at it. So you also want to be mindful who you communicate with. Be mindful of who, your tagged photos and the accounts that you're actually following as well. Certain employers might look at who you're following. What kind of accounts do you associate with, or what do you want to see? Or, those are the things that, employers want to look at. They want to see your big circle, your behaviors, your everyday behaviors. What are other ways we can help with our social media presence? Any other thoughts or ideas? We can also put our, social media private, right? You can put a private account. That way no one can look at it, or certain people can look at it. That way you can manage it a little bit better. Although nowadays, with everything being online, there are now employee softwares where they do employee internet background checks, meaning even anything that you posted, even if it's not in your account, any post that you post anywhere in the internet, they'll be able to find it. There's actual softwares now to do thorough background checks. So even if you're not on your account, they can still find where you posted a bad review or a bad, if you badmouth a specific employer, they'll be able to find that stuff now that we live in this internet world. So just be mindful of how you present yourself, even virtually nowadays. So one way for you to brand yourself virtually, professionally, is LinkedIn. For those of you who don't know what LinkedIn is, it's a specific platform to put your resume, your experiences. You also can start networking. It kind of looks like Facebook, to be honest. It's just a specific profile with just your experiences, all your work experiences, any achievements that you may have, any licenses or certificates that you want to add on there. But also, main importantly, is your network. So who are you connected with, right? Sometimes to get a job, you may need to know people. Like how we rely on Yelp, we rely on people's, feedback in order to trust whether or not we want to continue that route. Same thing when it comes to, getting a job. If a specific person, refers you into a position, the chances of you getting that job increases. Why? Because you're being referred. People trust people. Your network is huge. So if you can start networking, start now. Start building those relationships. But in order to start building that network and start building those relationships, you also want to make sure you present yourself in person right? You're a walking billboard. The way you present yourself in this world is how people perceive you. So you also want to do that. Like how Robin mentioned in the beginning, everybody judges people. Within the matter of 10 seconds of meeting me, you already judged me. You already knew whether or not this is going to be a good presentation. You already knew whether or not you're going to like me, or if my voice is annoying, or if it's too low. Whatever the case is, you already judge me. Everybody does that. So why not put your best foot first, so you can, at least the judging doesn't, could be other things rather than your appearance, right? You want to look professional in a sense. So first impressions is very important. Think about going on your first date. How do you dress up? How do you look, right? What do you look for when you meet someone for the first time? What is the first thing that you notice? So if you can add in the chat, what is the first thing you see when you meet someone? What is the first thing you notice about somebody? Just one thing. And again, this is a safe space. We all know that we all prejudge everybody, which is okay. All right, a smile, absolutely. A smile can mean a lot of things, right? It can mean you're welcoming, means you're positive, enthusiastic. The outfit, absolutely. That's a good one. How they shake your hand. Okay, Brian, okay. Happy, I like it. Yeah, all of this. How they are dressed, put together, absolutely. Eye contact. Eye contact is huge, right? It shows whether or not someone is paying attention to you. Body language, absolutely. Have you ever met someone who's like always like constantly moving, like their leg or something? Brian puts his hand up because he always shakes his leg. He always shakes his leg. He's sitting down and he's shaking his leg, and I'm like, man, Brian, relax. So the reason why I bring this up is because there's a rule of communication called the 7-38-55 rule. I'm not sure if y'all know it, but basically communication is only 7% of spoken words. Only 7% is spoken words. 38% of communication is tone. So depending how you deliver your words, and then 55% is body language. So basically nowadays when we text, a lot of misunderstood communication happens, especially emails nowadays, because you're missing tone and you're missing body language. A lot of times miscommunication happens, and miscommunication leads to, bad relationships sometimes. It can ruin relationships, all because we're missing these other elements. So we also got to be mindful of our body language when we communicate with people, when we talk to people. Our voice also is a huge impact when it comes to communication. So once we know how to dress ourselves, you want to look good. Like if you were going on a first date, you're trying to impress someone. Now we got to figure out how we can communicate when we meet that person, the right person, especially when we're looking for a job. Here's what's called an elevator pitch.
A 30-second elevator pitch, sometimes called your 30-second commercial, is a quick way to introduce yourself at a career fair, when networking, or in any professional setting. Start off with a quick intro, your name, year in school, and major. Easy, right? Next, mention your plans for the future. What field are you interested in? Let the other person know your goals. Then, talk about the steps you've taken to get there. Briefly describe your experience or skills that you've developed to help you reach your career goal. Finally, if you're talking to an employer, mention how their company fits into your career plan. And there you have it, the 30-second elevator pitch. Create one and you'll be able to approach employers with confidence. So, what's your pitch?
The whole purpose of an elevator pitch is if you happen to see the person that you want to work for in an elevator, you have your pitch ready to go, 30 seconds. That way you can introduce yourself. That pitch could be used for your first question when it comes to tell me about yourself. It could be used when you meet people. It can be used at job fairs and networking. Once you perfect your elevator pitch, you'll be able to present yourself and be able to communicate and build these relationships, these professional relationships. After you reach that, elevator pitch, after you met the right people, then hopefully you can give them that resume. And that's what this is next portion is about, is what should you have on your resume? How should you develop it? I'm going to do a really quick, fast introduction on what resumes are. Resumes tend to be the first contact when it comes to a potential employer. That's the first thing they see about you. That in order for you to increase the chances of being picked on your resume is making sure you have the right key terms when it comes to your resume. And what I mean by the key terms is when you apply for a job, every job has a job description. You tend to look out on Indeed or things like, or I don't know what other job sites are out there, but if you look at these job sites, they'll give you a description on what the job's about. And they'll even tell you what they're looking for. Are you dependable? Are you reliable? Do you work in, fast-paced environments? Those are the key terms that they're looking for. If you can add those key terms and put it in your resume, it increases the chances of you getting picked. Because employers spend about an average only of 15 seconds to read your resume. And nowadays, everything's online. Artificial intelligence are the ones scanning your resume. So if you don't have these key terms, artificial intelligence is not going to pick up your resume. So you want to make sure you have these right key terms in order for your artificial intelligence gives it to the employer. Now, let's say you don't have any skills, right? No work experience whatsoever. You can still have the opportunity to build a resume, and you want to use your life skills, your life experiences, any volunteer work, any after school program, any school extracurricular activities. Were you in a sport? Sports has all kinds of different skills, right? You need to learn how to work as a team. You need these group projects in high school. You know how to work as a team. You know how to communicate with one another. Those are the skills that you can add onto your resume. All right. Once your resume has been picked up and you get a call to get that interview, the interviewer already knows you can do the job. Why? Because in your resume, it just shows that you have the skills, what it takes. So basically, when you get this step, the interviewer already knows you can do the job. What they're looking for in an interview is how do you behave yourself? How do you react? What is your demeanor? They want to see your behavior when it comes to interviews. So this is where you present yourself, your best self, to the interview. There's different types of interviews, right? You have your traditional face-to-face. You have over the phone interview. You have a group interview. You have a serial interview, and then you have your virtual interview, which I'll show you how a virtual interview should look like towards the end of this presentation. In these interviews, you want to act similar in all these interviews, except for the group one. In the group one, you're kind of outshining everybody. That's the whole purpose. Basically, there's a bunch of applicants applying for the same position. And there's one employer looking at all of you and how you interact with one another. So in that setting, how you present yourself in that interview is a little different. You want to be more hands-on, you want to be vocal, and you want to show leadership skills when it comes to those group interviews. Tell me about yourself. Has anybody had an interview before? That was the first question they usually ask, and I'm going to tell you how to answer that question.
It is a safe bet this will be one of the first questions you will face, and the way you answer it will set the tone for the entire interview. One thing that stays true for this answer every time you are asked: keep it professional. Employers are not asking you this question because they want to know what your favorite color is. They want to know why you are the best candidate for the job. Employers want to hire the best person for the job, and your job is to convince them this is you. As it is most likely the first question you will face in your interview, it is one of the first impressions you will be giving the employer. You want to give the most professional image of yourself as possible. In order to accomplish this, do not volunteer personal information.
Please tell me about yourself.
Well, I'm 23 years old. I was born and raised in this city. I have 2 dogs, and I love basketball.
This candidate has already set himself back. You don't want to give any information about your personal life, but rather your professional life and how it relates to the position you are interviewing for. To do this successfully, you need to prepare and structure your answer highlighting your relevant education, experience, and professional qualities. From the job description, you know what the qualifications for the job are and what skills the employer is looking for. So you want to highlight all of the previous work experience, education, training, and all other professional skills that are relevant to the position. No matter what your work history is, you have transferable skills. If this is your first job in your field, then highlight the skills and training you received from your education as they pertain to the job, and talk about any transferable skills you might have gained from any of your work experience. Highlight your accomplishments as well. If you've received any academic awards or any promotions or commendations from your job, feel free to mention it. Not every position you interview for is going to be exactly the same, even if the job title is. Each company has different needs, so study the job description and figure out exactly what it is they're looking for. Once you figure out what the employer is looking for in a candidate, your job is to be that person. So emphasize the skills and qualifications you have that relate to the job specifically.
All right. So when you hear that question, tell me about yourself, you should automatically just think, what is it, or what does the employer want from me to gain this position? Why am I the best fit for this position? You should automatically switch. They don't really want to know who you are, what's your favorite color, how many dogs you have. No, they want to know, why am I the best fit for this position? So you want to give them skills. Tell them what they want to hear. And remember, the job description is your cheat sheet. Your job description will even tell you, give you an idea of what kind of questions they're going to ask you on the interview. If their question is, or one of the things that they're asking in the job description is working under pressure, one of their questions in the interview is going to be like, tell me about a time when you had to work under pressure. It's going to give you, their answers are all in the job description. So save the job description when you start applying for jobs. And last but not least, when it comes to interviews, you have your common questions like, tell me about yourself, what is your biggest weakness, things like that. But they also have behavioral questions. And remember, that's what they want to see. They want to see how you're going to behave. They want to see how you're going to react. And this is just a method on how to answer these behavioral questions.
Congratulations, you've made it to the interview stage. Through a series of behavioural interview questions, the hiring manager is looking to find out more about how you work and resolve challenges in the workplace. The interview is a great opportunity to demonstrate and expand on your skills, personality, and appetite for the role. While behavioural interview questions don't necessarily have right or wrong answers, there is a method you can use to give better responses. We call this the STAR method, and this is how you can use it in an interview. Situation. To clearly set the context, state the role, the organisation or department where you were working, and provide a brief description of the situation where you demonstrated the capability. Task. Provide a brief description of the tasks that you were required to undertake to address the situation. Action. Describing the actions that you took to resolve the situation is the most important part of your answer. It's very important that you pick a work example where your actions align with the key behaviours being assessed. Results. A really strong workplace example should finish with a great achievement statement. An achievement statement provides the evidence that your actions were effective and should include the outcome. Let's look at how you can use the STAR method to answer a typical behavioral interview question. Could you give me an example of when you had to deliver a solution to an existing problem?
I was working within the recruitment team to address a backlog of candidates in our recruitment software. The backlog was slowing down our system and becoming problematic, especially when entering new candidates. I started by closing off old job positions. Then I realised the main reason for backlog was managers not closing off the job properly. I knew that even with a new system, the backlog would continue if the staff weren't properly trained. I knew I had to come up with a new approach to this problem. Despite my limited experience in compliance, I used my background in training and coaching to help the staff understand the importance of knowing how to use the system properly. Initially, it was unclear which parts of the software they were having problems with. This is when I asked the HR manager for feedback and I interviewed the staff to find out what parts they were struggling with. Based on their feedback, I wrote a training program, wrote a new training guide, recorded a webinar, and created a checklist which I published on the internet for easy access. As a result of my initiative, the backlog became less of a problem as staff were properly trained on how to use the software. In the long term, there were fewer errors in the system and the HR received fewer queries regarding the software.
Now that you understand what a good response looks like.
So the STAR method is just a way to kind of keep yourself organized when it comes to answering these questions. You want to name the situation. What was the task of that situation? What was the action you did in that situation? And what was the final result? If you keep on those four, elements, you'll be able to answer these behavior questions good and not take too long. I tend to take long, and sometimes my conversations go like all around and I end up answering a question for like 5 minutes. So this helps you stay organized, the STAR method. All right. Last but not least, I just want to show you basically a checklist on what you should do when you start applying for jobs. You want to clean up your social media. You want to create a professional email address. You want to consistently update your resume, especially because now we know that every job has a different job description. Every job description has different key elements that they're looking for. So you want to make sure you're using these key elements for every job that you're applying to. You want to answer all calls, even unknown numbers, because it could be that interview that you're looking for, right? Make sure you have a voicemail set up. A lot of people don't have voicemail set up and they can miss opportunities like that. And then of course, you want to practice your elevator speech and your interview questions. And that's it for me. Thank you. Here's my name, my number in case you want to get in contact with me. And I'm going to stop sharing right here.
Thank you, Alyssa. That was really good information. And I think we'll be sharing this PowerPoint too later so you guys can use it again to refresh yourselves. What are some of the things, just really quick in the chat? Again, I said it's going to be interactive, so I need to see more action. What is the one takeaway that you guys learned in that first segment? That was a lot of information, really good information. And I know you got to process it, think about it a little more, but what is the one takeaway from what you learned that Alyssa shared with us? We can't move forward until we still see some things in the chat. Remember, this is a raffle situation.
The STAR method.
What do we have in here from some of our youth? Let's see. The STAR method. Okay. The STAR method. Good. Very good. Thank you. Now, elevator pitch, right? Update your resume constantly. What to say when you need to talk about yourself. Absolutely. That tell me about yourself question, I would tell you, I've been on this earth a little while. I've had several interviews and I used to answer with my personal information. Oh, I'm Robin, I'm from Chicago and da, da, da. You know, I didn't know. I thought they really wanted to know Robin, but they didn't. But you know, being able to relate it to what the job is, it's like explaining your resume is really what you're doing. You're kind of going down a list of things that you have knowledge about and experience in that might be helpful for that job and that interview, because the way you answer those questions does lead them to more questions during the interview and make it more pointed interview. And you can actually, guys, honestly, you can direct the interview just on that question, the way you answer it. You can direct it the way it's going to go, especially you have some things that you don't have the experience in. If you just kind of hone in on what you do know, they're going to go with that. And it'll lead through that interview. And, it's kind of like, I got this. And I would say that those group interviews, they are very nerve-wracking, but that's where you shine. And I'll just say really quick, my daughter, two of my kids worked at SeaWorld. That's the thing to do right here in San Diego. But my daughter was the one, because of my job, I'm like, all right, you're gonna wear a dress, you're gonna wear, she stood out because she had the benefit of her mother and the experience, but she stood out. And I'm like, you gotta be the one first to answer the questions and be the first one to answer that question in the group interview. You wanna, even if it's kind of, the answer isn't the greatest, but you be the first one to say something, because you're gonna set the tone of the group interview too. SeaWorld is notorious for group interviews. The elevator pitch. What is that one thing you want them to know about you? You only have a few seconds, just like you guys, how you have your interest level of few seconds, 15 seconds when you meet somebody. You got to get it in really fast. What it is that you want them to know about you. That's really what the elevator pitch is. What do I want this person to know? What do I want them to remember when they walk away? So a lot of great information Alyssa shared. Again, this is the work that we do at SBCS. This is what we do. We try to prepare you guys the best way we can with our knowledge and our experience to share with you guys. And right now we're going to do Brian, who was really a program participant at one point. So he was getting services from SBCS to help him with his career pathway. And now he's an employee. He is a full-time employee with us because of how he performed in the program. He didn't know that, but he was being interviewed. How you show up anywhere in the work world is you're always being interviewed. You're always being looked at. So the way he performed as he was getting his services, you don't have to hit it out the park every time, but people see your grit and they see your level of interest, and they will remember that. So when opportunity came up, Brian was called, and he's doing all right. No, he's doing good. He's doing really well. So Brian and Alyssa had worked on some things that they wanted to share today, and he definitely wanted to give you some of his experience. So Brian, he's channeling in from Costa Rica right now. If you can see, he's on the beach hanging out. We sent him there on assignment. So Brian, the Costa Rica assignment, it's like a newscaster. Not really, it's just a cool background. Brian, you have some information you want to share, right?
Yes. All right, so pleasure to meet everyone. I hope everyone's doing great today. Before I get started, Alyssa, thanks for PowerPoint. It was awesome. Great job, really informative, really taught me a lot of things that I didn't know. So thank you so much. And Robin, for the introduction, thank you too. All right, so I'm Brian. I'm 21 years old. I was in SBCS in this amazing program. It helped me get through high school, transitioning to college. And well, I'm here now working for them. So it's a great opportunity. And I hope Alyssa and I could show you how to present via Zoom interview. And I hope it's informative and you guys enjoy it.
Yeah. So like Brian mentioned, this is going to be a virtual interview. So that way you all can see it in action. It'll be more about his personal, experience. But just so you all know, you want to make sure that at least your chest up is visual. You want to have good lighting, want a good background, like Brian over there. He has a good background. Makes me jealous not being over there. But yeah, so Brian, thank you for joining us today. How old were you when you started applying for jobs?
How old was I? I was actually 16 years old when I started applying for a job, because here in San Diego, it's 16 to be able to apply with reference from high school if you have good grades. And I started applying at 16 because I want to help my family with expenses.
Good to know. talk to me about your first job interview. How did you feel and what did you learn?
My first job interview was at TJ Maxx. It was when I was 16 also. And oh my God, I felt so nervous, so scared, probably like one of the scariest things I've done in my life. And it was really nerve-wracking. I wasn't prepared. And what I learned from it is failure to prepare and it's preparing to fail. I got the job, but I didn't present myself well and I didn't sell myself and I wasn't the best version of myself during the interview.
Well, at least you got the job, right? Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you.
How many jobs have you had? And what did you learn from your experience?
I've had a few jobs, probably like 6, I want to say. And sorry, can you repeat the question one more time? My bad. Sorry.
Yeah, of course. How many jobs have you had and what did you learn from your experience?
So what I've learned over time is they do all jobs do revolve around the same questions, how you mentioned your PowerPoint. A lot of them ask you like, tell me about yourself, for example. I really like that one. I really love that question because it gives you the opportunity to express your work ethic, really sell it to them. What I've learned through that is through every interview and every job is you're always sharpening your skills. And no matter what field it's in, you sometimes think like a simple thing of, for example, sharpening a tool won't come in handy in your other job and then at an office job, and then one day they're gonna be like, oh, we need someone to sharpen this. So all the tools you learn from each job, they follow you through all your other jobs you apply for.
That's a good answer. You're right. Absolutely. Tell me about the position you are in now. What do you do? And do you know your full role in this, your full role description?
Yes. So what I currently do, I'm a peer mentor and I'm also a Youth Advisory Board Council Associate, meaning as a peer mentor, I talk to youth that are just as impacted or that are in our programs. And I talk to them to motivate them and see how they're doing. Because, especially through these trying times, it's good to keep communication. And I know it's hard for everyone. Also, I'm here to also sell the program and get youth into involved in our program so we could help them out. This program is amazing, like I said, expressed prior. And also as a Youth Advisory Board Council Associate, I'm here I work with the youth, also in the same position. And with these youth, I'm trying to get a board together so we can start helping the community and all the problems we have, for example, like cleaning trash and providing support for like a homeless march, and things along the lines of that.
All right. 2 more questions for you. What have you learned being in an office setting? Anything new that you've learned that you didn't know now that you're working in the office?
Yeah, it's you got to be prepared mentally. Very, very prepared. A lot of typing too. All jokes aside though, I've learned that every day you learn something. Like you sometimes feel, or at least in my case, I feel like I understand something and I learned something new about the same subject that I didn't know about before. I also learned that it's very team heavy, but also you got to be able to shift as quick into working independently. So office jobs it's like a good way to work on both skills of working as a team and working individually.
Perfect. And then any tips you would like to give to our job seekers today?
Yes, of course, I would love to give a tip. A tip that I give is always be the best version of yourself in an interview. Always try to express the things you say. For example, as you saw during this interview, where this will ask me a question, I'll kind of break it down, express it. You don't want to make it too long, but getting straight to the point. And kind of be yourself, not be yourself, but be the best version of yourself. The one that you see getting the job, the one that you see when you try hard in school, the one that you see when you put effort in any little task. Be the best version of yourself that you can be. That's my best advice I could give you guys at the moment. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you, Alyssa and Robin.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you, Brian. We appreciate you, and we are glad that you are with us. Are there any questions from any of the youth that are in attendance? I know we've already been in this 45 minutes now, and I don't know if you guys need to stretch for a second, but are there questions from anyone in the group, in the chat? Anyone? Katrina, Ron, Melissa, Abigail, Madeline? No questions? You guys are ready? You got your elevator pitch already? You good?
John has a comment. Go ahead, John.
Describe how to dress.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. For many, many years, I'm a retired school teacher. But when I was 16, I had my first company. The point that I want to make is this, that depending on who you are, not on the outside, but on the inside, I truly recommend everyone to take a personality profile test of themselves to find out what their strengths and what their weaknesses are, and to really apply that to whatever position they're looking for. If you're a salesperson, body language is extremely important, okay? If you're online, the setting, like these palm trees in the back here, that does look like Costa Rica. But knowing in advance what the particular business is looking for, and of course what environment you're going to be in when you take that interview. I mean, it goes way beyond, I think, most young people's understanding. I've hired several hundred individuals over my career. And one of the things that just probably my own, if you will, Ben, is that I never hired anyone who didn't ask me specifically how much the job paid and what the benefits were. It meant to me that, and of course, this is like usually in a second interview, it meant to me that they were maybe too desperate. And for me, as a government contractor and boat builder and many other things, I couldn't afford to hire someone who was afraid to ask me the hard questions. And like I said, I'm going to need to go to another meeting right now, but please stay in touch with me. I have a couple of things that young people might be able to use through precision exams. And I got some really good ideas how some folks can get some really good jobs and that pay well. So if you'll please take my information down. And do you have record of that?
Yeah, maybe you could put it in the chat real quick. Maybe just drop the information in the chat so that people can get it.
Okay.
And that'll be great. That'll be you have some really great resources and information for anyone attending that's interested. So if you put your information in the chat, then they could be able to get in and get in touch with you.
I'll go ahead and do that. I'm the executive director of the Good Neighbor Project San Diego, and we help young people find jobs. And
great. And you'll probably see him at the resource fair, right, John? You'll be there on the 24th, on Thursday?
That is the plan, although I just had surgery, so I'm not sure. And but please make sure that I get all the information in large print.
Good deal. Thank you, John. So put your information in there. And we do want to move forward because we have second chance staff that is waiting, but I also want to touch really briefly on dress. That was something someone put in the chat to make sure that, you know, when we talk about branding, we're talking about, you know, body language, verbal, eye contact, and how you dress is very important. And it is a way we judge people, because I think someone did put in there dress when we talked about what are some of the first things that you look at. The way you appear, what you wear on Saturdays and then, you know, in the evening is not what you wear to an interview, because again, dress to impress. You want to put your best foot forward. And even once you get a job, and Second Chance is going to talk about getting a job and your attire there too, you want to check out the culture of the company to see how they dress, and you mirror that. It's okay to be independent in your own person and you know, reflect on yourself and project who you are, but you also want to make, not but, and you want to make sure that you are assimilating to the culture of that company, to the culture of what their interview might look like. If they're in a suit and you're in a t-shirt and jeans, it's probably not an even match. And that is important. Your clothes are, I remember just really quick, I went on an interview and had sneakers because I lived in Chicago, and people wore sneakers on the bus because you had to use public transportation. I had suit and sneakers, and guess who forgot their shoes? She did. So I was in an interview with white sneakers and a suit. Thank God I got the job anyway, because I just explained. I was like, well, I was coming from my other job. We're in the bus in Chicago, is what we do. But so, you know, technically I was out of order. But you make sure that you dress appropriately and get advice. Google it. You know, you can Google and find out what's the best thing to wear. If you don't have things that are, you know, nice that you think is appropriate, that's when you get in touch with one of these agencies and we can help you, support you, and get you interview clothing. So that is very important to make sure we do. And branding is from head to toe, what we say, how we dress, how we walk. And also really quick, if you're in a store and you see a sign that says hiring, and you know that you have on oversized clothes and things that probably don't match what's going on, maybe just ask for the application and then come back with the application filled out, dressed appropriately. So just be mindful of how you are dressing. But now we're going to go on to second chance transition, and we talk about the personal branding and how to get a job. Now we're going to go into, once you get a job, how do you keep that job? How do you perform on that job? What is workplace ethics? And so Second Chance is going to show you what that is, explain it, break it down so that we all are on the understanding of how do we show up at work? What do we do when there's conflict? What do we do? How do we make sure we keep that job and not, you know, count to 10 before we say things? So Second Chance, Rachel, if you want to introduce your team.
Absolutely. I'm super excited to introduce Jessica, who's going to be presenting to you guys on workplace ethics. She has a great presentation, really excited to see what she has today. Again, Alyssa, Brian, wonderful presentation. Thank you guys so much.
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Jessica Ortiz. I will be sharing the screen right now. And from beginning, there we go. Can you guys see that? Cool. All right. So I'm going to be presenting about workplace ethics. And what is the definition of workplace ethics? It's a standard of conduct and values for the job performance. And there's more to it as we go on through the slideshow. Common workplace ethics would be attendance, character, appearance, attitude, respect, communication, organizational skills, and teamwork. Now, can anyone tell me, well, honestly, for attendance, we all know that when you go to work, you have to be on time and not to be absent. Are there other ways that there can be like some discrepancies when it comes to attendance? Does anybody know? Okay, so one example would be you clocking in and then going going down the street to buy some food. Maybe you forgot to eat breakfast and you just like, oh, I barely made it on time. I'm clocking in. It's 8 o'clock. My manager's not here yet. I'm just gonna walk down the street and I am going to buy some breakfast, and then you come back 30 minutes later. That's one way of having a discrepancy when it comes to attendance. Another one would also be leaving early, not telling your supervisor or your manager where you're going or why you have to leave early. I also suggest planning ahead when it comes to attendance. So if you have a doctor's visit or you just need paid time off, I suggest that you talk to your immediate supervisor or your manager, letting them know, like, I need some time off for XYZ reason. Put it on the calendar once it's been approved, of course. And let's see, another one would be we're all human, and if you ever get sick, I suggest that you, when you go to the doctor, get a doctor's note so that you can submit it to human resources. Documentation is key. It will help you out in the long run. As for character, honesty is the best policy. Being assertive, then passive aggressive is good. And I also have a video clip to show good character. It's based off of the movie Vanilla Extract. It's a small scene from when an employee is having some type of conflict with another coworker, and she says, oh, you know what, I've already talked to this person. I'm just not going to do my work. I'm going to stop what I'm doing and let's see what they do from here on out. So I'm going to share that video with you guys right now. Hopefully I can. Can you guys see that? No?
You have to stop the screen share and go to the open it up. Yeah, there you go.
There it is. Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. There's no sound on our end.
Jessica, you might have to go to the top screen and enable the sound.
Oh.
Like if you go to the very top, put your mouse over the...
I don't know how to do that. I'm so sorry. It's okay. I'll just, would it be okay with you guys if I showed the action instead of the sound? We really don't need the sound. We could just see what happens. Oh.
Oh no.
All right, so that is what happened in the movie Vanilla Extract. Being passive aggressive and not communicating with your coworkers has a domino effect. So let me not share this anymore. Can't unshare it now. There we go. Can you guys see that? Thank you. Okay, as for teamwork, I would say you have to realize that when you're on the job, they're not just your coworkers. They're kind of like your second family, because you're working with everyone for 40 hours, and it's not just your teammates, but it's other departments that you're working with, you're collaborating with. So it's best to get to know them, learn to be patient and understanding and respectful, learn to also grow within the company together and help one another out. And as for professional image is image that one projects about themselves based upon appearance and reputation. Image can be conveyed as professional by the way that you dress, the way you speak, and the way you respond to others, and how you speak about yourself. And attitude, there are 6 key attitudes that small businesses should seek out in employees to ensure a harmonious professional environment. And it's to be positive, show communication, respect for others, commitment to the job, and innovative ideas and finding new ways to be efficient, and making the company money and saving the company money is key. Also helpfulness with others is also good. Any questions? I can't hear anyone.
Hey, Jessica, what do you
Yes.
do if, what do you do if there's some, how do you adjust to the culture of a company? What do you suggest that you do once they get a job? What should they do to figure out, kind of how to conduct themselves there? What are
I
some
believe that that's a great question, Robin. I believe that actually knowing and understanding the company culture, it all goes towards your research. So what are your goals? What are your values? What kind of company are you looking into applying for? Do you want to work for a gaming company where their company culture is a little bit professional, but it's more like business casual type of wear? Or so like I said, it all depends, it depends on you. It's all on you to do your research on the company that you want to work for. When you go into the interview, to be observant of how people interact with one another. At the front desk, talk to the receptionist before going to the interview. See how they're doing, how's their day, and they will be more than happy to talk to you. Observe the style that they have. Do they have a break room? What kind of break room do they have? What do they supply there? Some companies like Google have sleeping pods, right? And some companies also have different environment rooms, and they have different snacks for employees, and they have healthy snacks, and they have like the type of snacks that aren't as healthy, but they could also be accommodating. So it all depends on you doing the work beforehand, during the interview, and then once you're in the door working there, make sure to ask your immediate supervisor or your manager to give you a tour of the whole floor. Talk to each department, get to know how your role fits with other departments. That's how you can find out the company culture. And I hope that answers your question, Robin.
It does. And knowing, I'm glad you brought up the whole interviews part, because I remember when I would interview in my younger years, when I sit there, because they always have you sitting there waiting, you can see how people are acting in that environment. Like, the receptionist, the person who welcomes you, great informant. They can tell you a lot of information but you can see how people are talking to each other, or are they just in their cubes and their heads are down and they're not, doing any kind of interaction. That is a great way to also figure out if you want to work for them. You might see some things happening that, like, this probably is not where I want to be. If they're all suited up and that's not, you just like, I cannot do tie shirt every day. I can't do that. So maybe, that's kind of a way to decide if you want to work there, because the interview is not just about them learning you, but you learning them. So when we say culture, that means how they dress, how they respect their staff, how staff interact with each other, what kind of maybe activities they do outside of the office in terms of supporting, communities. So those things are kind of what you need to learn when you're trying to get a job or even at the job. So Brian, for instance, was new, and he had to learn how to, observe his teammates and figure out how they do things. And not to put Brian on the spot, but sometimes when he had to go excuse himself, is it okay if I go? I'm like, Brian, if you don't stop asking me if you can leave the room, you don't have to raise your hand. This is not school. You can excuse yourself and do what you need to do. But he didn't know. It's his first professional job, right? So, him having to sit back and just really learn for the first 30 days, how people resolve conflict. If there's an issue, if there's gossiping, if it's all of those things that are happening, you need to be observant of that, not participate in it. Set yourself aside, because again, you're still branding who you are. You still want to show up as who you want to be professionally. Do what you want to do after work, not on social media, but do what you want to do after work. But you still want to continue branding yourself. And Jessica, I know that stuff that you guys teach there, and it's a constant learning curve that we all have to do. Even if I left my job and go to a new one, I have to learn that whole culture. I can't take everything I know at SPCS to Second Chance, because they might be totally different how they operate. So I have to learn all the time. Excuse me. And Jessica and Rachel's team, they support their clients and how to navigate that. I know those are a lot of tools that you guys use, and you guys have a great acronym. Is it ABC? What is it? I was like,
yes,
I love that.
It's called the ABCs of employment. So you get a job, A is for a job, B is for a better job, C is for career. So anyone can, if a participant wanted to get a job that just apply really quick, like Jack in the Box, they can do that. That's a job. But we want to assist them in finding a better job and eventually a career, somewhere where there's longevity and they can use their skills in the future. That's it.
Yeah. And so that's, again, branding your way through the whole thing. If you go into a job and you get caught up in the negative culture, you're probably not going to be able to get that better job, right? You're not going to be able to move. It's about progression. So you're still always interviewing. People are always watching you. You always want to represent your best self. There's a question here, or what are questions an interviewee can ask to determine if a workplace is a good fit? Does anyone want to, Alyssa or Jessica, want to answer that question?
I've actually been in an interview and I've been upfront with them, and I'd ask them, what's the company culture like? Can you walk me through a day of what that looks like? Do you have any company picnics? Do you have any extracurricular activities when a project's over? When you're gonna do a closeout project, do you guys get together? Do you do any events for Christmas, for holidays, anything like that? And they would tell me, oh yeah, absolutely. Last year we we got together for Christmas. We had it here, but the year before that, we had it on the rooftop at XYZ building, and it was amazing. And everyone and their kids and their family got together. Or for Halloween, we like to bring our kids dressed up, and in each cubicle we have candy for all of our kids, and we hand out candy because we know we're all busy and we can't really take our kids out to go trick-or-treating. So we just do it within the company, and it's fun for people to just bring cupcakes and candy and see all the kids in their little costumes. So I worked at a company like that and I enjoyed it. So I'm glad I asked that question.
And that's important to, follow up on that is, what is it? What are your values? And then how can you ask the questions to the interviewer to see if they align with what you do? That was a great example in terms of, I love to give back. Let's just say I love to give back. I love to volunteer. Does this company support volunteer? Do you get paid to volunteer? Do you have volunteer projects? Those are great things. Is it a merit-based? Merit meaning, increase. Do I, and during the evaluation of my work every year, am I rewarded with a merit increase? Meaning merit increase means more pay, basically. So there are companies that, even work at Jack in the Box. What is it like? If I want to be a manager, tell me what is the process to getting to that level? I mean, you can ask that. That shows initiative and drive and commitment, right? Ask those kind of questions. Even if you're like, I don't want to be a manager at Jack in the Box, but still it shows that you have some idea of trajectory for your career and you might be with them for a while. Those are, just good things that kind of set you apart. Even in a group interview or individual interview, those are great things to ask. Let's see, are there red flags interviewees should look for? How can we evaluate what the day to work culture is like? Anyone want to answer that one?
I think for me, some of the red flags that you should look for, or as an interviewee should look for, is how does a manager, behave? How are they, how are their approach to you when it comes to the interview? Like, how are they speaking? How are they dressed up? If the manager presents themselves a specific way and it's, maybe unprofessional, then maybe the whole environment might be unprofessional, because the leadership is, the person that everybody looks for. So if you don't have a good leader, then you might not be, supported as much as you would like to. So that would be my answer to that question.
Let's see.
I just put in the chat here too. I was wondering, Alyssa or Jessica, is it good to ask in the interview maybe what kind of managing style your potential manager would be, just so you can kind of see if it would be a good fit?
I think so. I think that's a great question to ask, only because, one, you're also expressing like, okay, I want to know how you work. I want to be able to manage or at least adapt to how you work, right? Everybody works differently. Every manager is different. Every style is different. So being able to ask that is already kind of showing the interviewer, hey, I'm in this, like, but I need to know a little bit more about this position. I want to know, if we're going to work well, because an interviewer is a two-way street. Yeah, they're interviewing for the position, but you're also interviewing them to see whether or not it's a good fit for you.
And I think that goes back to the other question too, is how do you find out if it's a good fit? And I like your response, Alyssa, on how, the body language of the interviewer, and it might not always be the manager, it could be an HR person, but they're representing the company, regardless of what the position is. They're representing the company, and it could be, are they super late for the interview? Are they distracted during the interview? Are they taking calls during your interview? Is the interview super short? What is it that's, the longer the interview, the better. So I always feel like, I had one time in an interview, a person stopped and looked at his watch. I was like, oh, am I taking too long in answering these questions? Like, they hired me, but afterward, I learned that that was what he did, and I never let him forget it either, because I brought it up every time I could. It was like, remember that time you were looking at your watch during my interview? Like it was a habit he didn't even realize he was doing. And actually I told him about it and he stopped doing it. But it was, but it could be put offish, right? If somebody stops during an interview and they look at their watch, it's like, then that can make you nervous. Like maybe they're done with me. I don't have the job. So it is important to see how they present. You're like Alyssa said, you're interviewing them as well. Are there any other questions? I know it's been a long time that we've had your attention, and thank you for all those that stayed on with us. I wonder about what John said earlier, is it good to ask about the salary and benefits in the interview session? Ooh, that's always a taboo. Yeah, especially because a lot of jobs don't tell you what the hourly, excuse me, I have bronchitis, the hourly rate is. A lot of times you can kind of know and kind of guess, but that is a question that was always a challenge. Jessica, do you want to answer that one?
I would. So for the first interview, I wouldn't ask, but if they give you an offer letter, I would try to do your research and go to like salary.com or pay scale, depending on your education and experience, and compare within, let's say San Diego, how much is a case manager making or a business service representative making within the area, based off of my experience and based off the number of years of experience and my education. Once you do that, then you can start negotiating with human resources and you have facts, and it gives you a little bit more leverage. And if it's not the amount that you want, you could always negotiate different types of benefits or perks to try to balance out the salary range. That's what I think.
Yeah, I would think as Victor says in the chat, research first. I mean, you guys know if it's your first job, it's probably going to be minimum wage, maybe $1 more. It probably is going to be around that range, but it's definitely something to consider once the job is offered. That's when you kind of want to have that conversation, not before. Well, as a hiring manager, we kind of get a little arrogant. We're like, wait a minute, don't ask that. I want to control this. You can't ask me how much it is, because then I'm going to think that you just want me for my money. It's just kind of like that. So you want to be, cautious of that. We're still getting to know each other. We don't know. I don't know your value just yet, but that's again where you should shine in that interview. So you kind of position yourself to be able to be at the higher end of whatever they're able to offer. So, but it's definitely a good question, and people do ask that, and it is a turnoff. It just is. It's a turnoff. We like to think that we're interviewing you, not you interviewing us. Although I don't feel that way. Right, Brian? When I interviewed you, I asked you questions. Brian asked me questions, and he interviewed so well. As you guys can see, he can talk pretty well, but I was very impressed when I interviewed with him. I didn't know Brian. He's been in our program, but I didn't do direct service. So he did a great job. And he asked me questions. Some of the questions I asked him, he turned it on me. I was like, oh, okay, well, and I answered. It was great though. I thought it was really great how he interviewed. But yeah, that's not right off the bat. We're not asking those dollars. You should know kind of what the salary is anyway. Nicholas, did you have any questions that you wanted to ask? And are you learning anything? It's just like, I feel a little more prepared now.
Yes, I feel more prepared for interviews now.
Good. I'm so glad that you stayed. Thank you.
May I chime in real quick?
Absolutely.
Awesome. So personally, word of advice when it comes to interviews for me, I just treat it, I try to make it a scenario where it makes you comfortable. And what I mean by that, we all have friends, or we all have someone we like talking to. So just imagine you're talking to that person, but in a very serious manner. Just don't try to say the jokes, because I like to joke around all the time, and I like to make people laugh. But for example, I always think of it, I always picture I'm talking to my aunt when I'm getting interviewed. Because sometimes when your aunts are going to you for a long time, they ask you those questions like, oh, how are you doing? Or, oh, how's school? Oh, did you fight? How did you solve that? So stuff that you could relate to, where it really makes it easy, so that I like to think of it as alarms in your head aren't going off, and you're not so nervous. And yeah, so I just treat an interview like a regular conversation. Just act like it's a regular conversation you're having with your friend, but just minus the jokes. And I think that would be the best way to do an interview. It's worked for me. And how Robin said, thank goodness, I'm glad she thought the interview was great. First time I got that from her feedback. And yeah, so it just kind of you could feel it when it's flowing, and just conversation with your friend.
Okay, well, thank you. I don't know if there's anything else, Jessica, you guys want to add or anything else. I thank you guys for staying this time. I know we set aside 2 hours. We knew 2 hours was going to be kind of long, but we're grateful that you stayed as long as you did. And for those who had to step off, hopefully everyone got a little something. In the invite, you should have gotten attachments in there. And we have in there included the personality assessment. I do agree with John. You should definitely take a personality assessment, excuse me, to see where you are and what your interests are. And the website that we gave is super easy. It's not a long one. It's a very easy assessment to take. It'll help you figure out what you might be interested in. And please feel free to reach out to one of us, Alyssa, Brian, could you guys, Jessica, put your email address in the chat?
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, this is what we do. So if you need any extra assistance or are interested in a workshop, more work, like an in-person workshop, or need any resume writing skills, please reach out to one of us. We are so happy to help, and really appreciate you guys staying on for this long. It's been great.
I'm sorry, Robin, there was a question. Do you know who's going to be there on Thursday? Like what jobs might be there, tabling?
Yes, we do actually.
Oh,
We have over 20 employers are currently signed up right now. And we have the usual suspects, which are SeaWorld, we have the zoo, but we also have National University in the Cal Coast Credit Union will be in there as well. Several city departments will be there as well. And we'll be highlighting not only, entry-level job opportunities, but also training programs and apprenticeships and internships as well. And we're happy to send all people interested a schedule of all of the employers that actually will be there and kind of like their offerings, and we will be working over their offerings at the very beginning of the program.
Nice, thank you.
Also, please put your email in the chat so that you can get possible laptop in the swag bag. So please put your email in there. If you don't put your email in there, as I say, you can't win if you don't play. You need to put your information in there ASAP. I'm sorry the other people didn't put that in. Maybe we can, since it's recorded, we can see who was here. But I mean, the laptop's looking pretty good for you guys. Laptop or desktop, whatever your choice is. So please put your information in there. Oh, now everyone wants to talk, huh? When you want to get that laptop. We should have made you guys answer a question first. But yeah, put your information in. Thank you for putting your email in there. And people have we've put our information in there. I guess I put mine in there, but please reach out to us if you need any support at all. We're here to help. If we can't do it or know, we can direct you to the people who do know. Again, thank you guys so much for being with us and hanging with us so long. We hope you learned something and that you're prepared for Thursday. It's going to be exciting. And then it's another event, April 24th, is it? The next event that is going to be in person. That'll be nice. Nice to see you guys. We love in person. This virtual is cool, but we like to, again, feel that body language. We want that energy. We need to be able to know that you are actually getting what we're saying and feel more comfortable to pull us aside and ask us questions. So check out the chat, get all that information, screenshot it so that you have it. You don't have to write it all down, but just, to do screenshot so that you can reach out to us for any questions. Thank you all for attending. We hope to see you Thursday. Alyssa will be there Thursday too. So we have our own resource rooms. There'll be the resource in the last hour so that you can go into the different rooms and talk to all of those education community-based organizations such as myself and Second Chance. Not myself, I don't have an organization. SBCS and Second Chance, the city, all kind of resources will be there for you. So please step in, check it out. Baby John will be there, Sarah might be there. So there's so many things that are out here to support you. We want to help because you are our future workforce. So we want to prepare you guys as best as possible to take over our jobs or, you know, level up, level up, level up, level up, being something different. So check us out. We'll be there and hopefully we'll see you there too. Your information's in the chat. Be on the lookout for an email. Thank you guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you for your time. Wonderful presentation.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for saying that. We appreciate it.
Yes, I hope to see all you guys on Thursday.
We are
Have a
excited
good
to
day.
be there. We'll see you too.
Yes, ma'am. Take care, Robin.
All right. Bye-bye.
Who is recording?
Awesome.
I think that's Kat. Thank you so much, Robin. That
Oh,
was
I forgot to ask, how do we retrieve today's recording so that we can go back? No, be fine.